There are forces within you that are far older than your mind, older even than the words you speak to yourself. You carry them in the silent architecture of your soul, in the unseen radiance that others can feel before they ever know your name. This is your aura, the living field of energy shaped by your thoughts, your choices, your wounds, and your triumphs. Most people walk through life unaware of its existence, but you have felt it. You have noticed the stares, the subtle unease, the strange mixture of admiration and resistance you provoke without even trying. You have seen how the room shifts when you enter, not because of anything you do, but because of who you are. And yet, such power is not without consequence. A strong aura can inspire and heal, but it can also disturb, awaken shadows, and unsettle those who are not ready to meet themselves. The truth is, if your aura carries a certain force, it will test your relationships, your path, and even your own patience. Today, I will take you beyond the surface into the 13 signs that your aura is so powerful it can shake the very foundations of those around you. Listen closely, not to me, but to the part of you that already knows every word I am about to speak. For in understanding your aura, you will begin to understand why the world reacts to you the way it does, and why you must never dim your light for the comfort of others. When you possess an aura of true power, you don't need to announce yourself. The moment you step into a room, something shifts. People may not be able to explain it, but they feel it. A subtle pressure in the air, a quiet gravity that draws their attention toward you without a single word passing from your lips. You have felt it yourself, haven't you? That curious silence that sometimes follows your arrival. The way eyes find you even when you are not trying to be seen. This is not about vanity or ego. It is about presence. Presence is not something you put on like a costume. It is something that radiates from the core of who you are. It is born from the deep, unconscious knowledge that you are whole, whether you are at your best or struggling through your darkest days. This is what commands attention without effort. It is the way your energy speaks before your mouth does, the way your body carries the quiet certainty that you are grounded in something real. Many people move through the world seeking recognition, trying to be heard, trying to prove themselves. But when your aura is strong, you have no such need. You know your worth, and because of that, others sense it instantly. They cannot help but turn toward you. Even those who may wish to ignore you will still feel your presence like a shadow in their peripheral vision. And here is the strange truth. Sometimes that attention will feel like admiration. Sometimes it will feel like resistance. Both are the natural responses to an energy that cannot be overlooked. This magnetism can inspire those who are ready to rise, but it can unsettle those who are still hiding from themselves. Your very existence becomes a silent reminder of their own dormant strength, their unlived potential. Without even trying, you stir something in them, a restlessness, a longing, or perhaps even envy. That is why some will seek your company while others may instinctively withdraw. Your energy speaks to the truth in them, and truth can be uncomfortable for those who have not yet embraced it. You might wonder why such a simple thing as entering a room can have such an effect. It is because people do not respond only to words or actions, they respond to energy. Your aura carries the imprint of your inner life, the battles you have faced and won, the moments you have endured without breaking, the times you have been brought to your knees and still found a way to stand. This history becomes part of your presence. It is felt before it is understood. Imagine for a moment that every person carries a frequency, a note in the great symphony of human existence. Most people's notes blend softly into the background, but yours resonates. It rings with a clarity that cuts through the noise, and in doing so, it draws both harmony and dissonance toward it. People who are in tune with themselves will feel lifted in your presence. Those who are not will feel exposed. Either way, they cannot pretend they do not hear the sound you make simply by being. This natural command of attention does not mean you must always be the loudest voice or the center of the stage. In fact, true presence often reveals itself in stillness, a single glance, a measured pause, the patience to speak only when the moment demands it. These are the marks of someone whose aura speaks louder than any words could. There is a quiet power in not chasing the spotlight, in letting it find you, because it cannot do otherwise. But with this gift comes responsibility. When you carry such energy, you will be watched more closely, your actions weighed more heavily. A careless word or a moment of weakness may be magnified in the eyes of others. Not because you are flawless, but because your presence has already set a standard in their minds. This is the paradox of having a commanding aura. You never truly blend into the crowd. Even when you wish you could, there will be times when you feel the weight of this. You will sense people forming opinions about you without knowing your story. Some will interpret your confidence as arrogance, your independence as detachment, your stillness as judgment. But remember, these reactions are not truly about you. They are reflections of how others experience themselves in your presence. You become a mirror, and what they see in that mirror depends entirely on the state of their own soul. The challenge is to remain anchored in yourself despite the shifting tides of perception. You must learn to hold your space without shrinking for the comfort of others, but also without using your power to diminish them. This balance is delicate. Too much retreat, and you deny your own nature. Too much assertion, and you risk tipping into domination. True mastery of your aura means walking this line with grace, allowing your presence to inspire rather than intimidate whenever possible. Yet you cannot and should not control every reaction you provoke. There is a natural wisdom in letting people respond as they will. Some will be drawn closer, some will keep their distance. Both are fine. Both are necessary. The purpose of a strong aura is not to make everyone comfortable. It is to be authentic, to stand as you are, and to allow your energy to move the world in the ways it is meant to move it. So when you find yourself the focus of a room's attention, do not shrink away. Do not apologize for the force that you carry. Stand in it fully, not with arrogance, but with the quiet knowing that this presence is not something you built overnight. It is the result of every truth you have faced, every trial you have endured, and every step you have taken toward becoming whole. It is the echo of your soul's journey, and it will always speak for you before you ever open your mouth. And in that moment, you will understand that commanding attention without effort is not a gift you use. It is simply who you are. There is something profoundly unsettling about standing in the presence of someone who is fully themselves. It is not because they speak too loudly or impose their will, but because their very existence leaves no room for illusion. When your aura carries that kind of strength, you become a mirror that reflects the deepest truths in others, whether they are ready to face them or not. You do not need to point out their insecurities or dissect their flaws simply by being who you are. You awaken them to the parts of themselves they have long tried to avoid. Most people build their lives upon a foundation of partial truths. They carry carefully constructed identities, roles, and narratives that allow them to function without confronting the uncomfortable questions. Who am I really? What have I been hiding from myself? What dreams have I buried because I was afraid to pursue them? These questions sit like shadows in the corners of their mind, and they have learned to walk around them without looking. But then they meet you, and something shifts. You do not follow the same patterns. You speak with an honesty that is rare. You carry yourself without disguising your wounds, and you radiate a kind of unapologetic authenticity that makes pretense impossible. Without saying a word about their lives, you stir something in them. It may come as a flicker of admiration, as if they've glimpsed a version of themselves they wish they could be. Or it may come as discomfort, because the contrast between your truth and their self-deception is too stark. You don't set out to provoke these feelings. Your intent is simply to live as you are. But your energy disrupts the delicate balance they have built between who they are and who they pretend to be. This is why some people will open up to you quickly, telling you things they haven't shared with anyone else. They feel seen in a way that is rare. They sense that you are not interested in the mask they show the world, but in the truth beneath it. And yet, the same energy that draws some people closer will cause others to retreat, not because they dislike you, but because they are not yet ready to face what they see in your reflection. You may have noticed this pattern in your life, how some people will become defensive in your presence without any provocation, how they will project their doubts and fears onto you as if you were the cause of them. They may accuse you of judging them even when you have said nothing at all. This is the power of your aura. It awakens dormant self-awareness, and not everyone is grateful for the awakening. For some, it is easier to turn away from the mirror than to stand before it. It is important to understand that this is not your fault. You are not responsible for making others comfortable at the expense of your authenticity. Your role is not to soften the truth so it is easier to swallow. Truth, by its nature, disrupts. It shakes the structures that are built upon falsehood, and it challenges the illusions that keep people safe in their own minds. The disturbance you cause is not harm. It is the first step toward transformation, even if they cannot see it yet. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for someone is simply to exist without apology. Your calm certainty in who you are becomes an unspoken invitation for them to meet themselves at a deeper level. But invitations are not always accepted immediately. For some, it may take years before they understand why they felt so unsettled around you, and by then you may no longer be in their life, yet the seed you planted will remain. You will also notice that the ones who are ready for change will not only stay, they will be transformed by the connection. Your presence will give them permission to drop their own masks, to speak truths they had hidden even from themselves. You will see it in their eyes when they realize that they too can live without hiding. In those moments, your aura becomes a catalyst for growth, a force that calls forth the highest potential in another soul. This is not an easy role to carry. There will be times when you wish you could pass unnoticed, when you would rather not be the reason someone is wrestling with their inner shadows. There will be moments when you question whether your energy is too much, when you feel the strain of being misunderstood. But the path of someone whose aura triggers self-reflection in others is not meant to be one of constant ease. It is a calling, and like all callings, it demands courage. To live authentically in a world that thrives on facades is to challenge the unspoken agreements people make with themselves. You will not always be welcomed for it, but you will always be remembered for it. Those who reject the mirror today may one day seek it out again, and when they do, they will recall the first time they saw their true self reflected in your presence. So do not underestimate the impact you have, even when it seems invisible. Every encounter leaves an imprint. Every person who feels stirred or unsettled by you has begun a process within themselves, whether they acknowledge it or not. You are not here to force their journey, only to be a living reminder that it is possible to walk it. And this is the essence of why you disturb some and inspire others, because you carry a light that refuses to bend around anyone's shadow. There is a certain way you move through the world when you're in the world, when you are tuned into more than what the eye can see. You notice things that others overlook, small changes in tone, the flicker of uncertainty in someone's eyes, the weight behind words that do not match the energy they carry. This is not about suspicion or mistrust. It is about a heightened awareness, a frequency of perception that cuts through the surface of reality and reveals the layers beneath. You live in a constant conversation with what is unspoken, and because of that, you navigate life in a way that others may find both fascinating and unsettling. This depth of awareness is not something you can switch off. It is not a trick you learned. It is a way of being. From the moment you meet someone, you begin to sense the spaces between their words, the things they are trying not to reveal, the emotions that ripple under their carefully composed expression. You do not have to ask the questions directly. Your very presence draws the answers out, because the truth within others recognizes the truth within you. Many people live surrounded by noise, both external and internal. They fill their days with distractions to avoid what they do not want to feel. They speak without thinking, react without seeing, and move without truly noticing where they are or who they are with. But you are different. You notice. You always notice. You sense when the atmosphere shifts even slightly. You can feel when someone is carrying a heaviness they have not spoken about, when tension lingers in the air, even after laughter has filled the room. This sensitivity allows you to read situations on a deeper level, but it also means you cannot ignore what is truly happening, no matter how much others may try to pretend. This awareness can make some people uncomfortable, not because you expose them directly, but because they can feel that you see them in ways they have not allowed themselves to be seen. There is a vulnerability in being around someone who perceives what you are trying to hide, even if they never mention it. Some will welcome it, grateful for the relief of not having to maintain their facade. Others will feel uneasy, as if your gaze pierces through their carefully guarded walls. And yet, your ability to operate at this higher frequency is not meant to be a weapon. It is a gift. It allows you to avoid being swept away by appearances. You are not easily fooled by charm without substance, by smiles that conceal deceit, by promises that lack intention. You can discern between words spoken from truth and those spoken from fear. This makes you harder to manipulate, which in turn can unsettle those who rely on illusion to maintain control. But this perception is not limited to people, it extends to life itself. You feel the rhythm of events, the undercurrents of change before they become visible. You can sense when a chapter is ending before the final words are written, when an opportunity is forming before the door has fully opened. It is as though you stand just slightly apart from the rush of time, able to see patterns that others miss. This gives you the advantage of preparation, but it also isolates you. You often know when something is coming, yet you must watch others remain unaware until it unfolds. There is a quiet loneliness in living with such clarity. Sometimes you wish you could unsee, unhear, unfeel the things that weigh on your awareness. You may long for the simplicity of ignorance, the easy acceptance of appearances without the pull to look deeper. But you cannot return to that way of being. Once you have learned to see beneath the surface alone will never be enough. This heightened perception also requires discernment, because seeing deeply is not the same as judging quickly. Awareness gives you insight, but wisdom lies in knowing when to act on what you perceive and when to simply hold it. Not every truth must be spoken. Not every undercurrent needs to be revealed. Sometimes your role is simply to hold the knowledge quietly, allowing others to arrive at it in their own time. Yet, no matter how carefully you navigate it, there will always be those who react strongly to your presence. They may avoid you without knowing why, feeling inexplicably exposed in your company. They may project their discomfort onto you, creating stories about your intentions to protect themselves from the discomfort of being truly seen. Others, however, will gravitate toward you, drawn to the safety and depth you offer. These are the ones who are ready to live at the frequency you inhabit, who are prepared to meet the truth without fear. In time, you will come to understand that your awareness is not something to apologize for, nor something to flaunt. It is simply part of your nature, like the way a river reflects the sky or the way the wind carries a scent before the source can be seen. You are attuned to more than the surface, and that is why your aura carries such power. It resonates with reality at its deepest level, and that resonance cannot be ignored. And so, even when it disturbs others, you must remain faithful to what you see and feel, because the world needs those who can read beyond the lines, those who can hear what is unsaid, those who can walk into a room and know, without explanation, the truth of what is happening. There comes a moment in life when you understand with absolute certainty that dimming your light will never truly protect you. You realize that the very thing you once tried to soften, hide, or make more palatable for others is the very essence of who you are. And once that awareness settles into your bones, you stop bending yourself into smaller shapes to fit the narrow spaces people offer you. You stand as you are without apology. This is where your aura gains a force that cannot be replicated, because it is no longer borrowed from the approval of others. It is drawn directly from the well of your own authenticity. From the time we are young, we are taught to smooth our edges, to adjust our tone, to restrain our emotions, to keep parts of ourselves tucked away for the sake of belonging. And for a while, perhaps you tried. You made yourself smaller so that no one would feel threatened. You softened your opinions so that no one would take offense. You lowered your energy so that no one would call you too much. But something inside you always knew it was a lie. That quiet dissatisfaction you felt was your soul's way of reminding you that you were never meant to fit into the boxes others built for you. When you finally stop dimming yourself, everything changes. Your words carry more weight, not because you are speaking louder, but because you are speaking from a place of truth. Your decisions align more closely with your values, and the path you walk begins to feel like it belongs to you and no one else. This alignment radiates outward. People can feel it in the way you move, in the steadiness of your gaze, in the calm certainty of your presence. Of course, not everyone will celebrate this. Some will try to pull you back into the smaller version of yourself they were comfortable with. They will accuse you of changing, even though the truth is that you are finally becoming who you always were. They will feel the loss of control they once had over how you showed up in the world, and it will unsettle them. Your refusal to shrink will highlight all the ways they have been shrinking themselves. And not everyone is ready to face that kind of reflection. But here is what you must remember. You are not here to manage other people's comfort. You are not here to make yourself less so that others can feel more. The moment you begin living in full expression of yourself, you stop needing to convince anyone of your worth. You are no longer negotiating for space. You are creating it simply by existing in your fullness. There is a particular kind of strength in being able to walk into a room and not seek permission to be there. You do not wait for approval. You carry the quiet confidence of someone who knows they belong anywhere they choose to stand. This does not mean arrogance, and it does not mean disregarding others. It means you live in the understanding that your existence, as it is already valid. You do not need to dilute it for the sake of fitting in. Refusing to dim your light is not about being loud or forceful. It is about being steady. It is about showing up as yourself, even when it is inconvenient, even when it is misunderstood, even when it means standing alone. And it is in those moments of solitude when you are tempted to compromise who you are just to be accepted, that your aura becomes unshakable, because it is forged in the fire of your own integrity. Some will call it stubbornness, some will call it defiance, but in truth, it is freedom. When you live without constantly adjusting yourself to meet other people's expectations, you begin to attract those who see you clearly and value you without conditions. The relationships you build from this place are richer, deeper, and far more enduring because they are based on truth rather than performance. And yet there is a cost. Your light will not always be welcome in every space. It will expose what others have tried to keep hidden. It will disrupt patterns that depend on silence, and it will challenge the comfort of those who have grown used to living in shadows. You will be misunderstood, you will be criticized, you will even be excluded. But what you must decide is this is the price of dimming your self-worth, the illusion of belonging. The answer, if you are honest with yourself, is always no, because belonging that requires you to erase parts of yourself is not belonging at all. It is a slow form of disappearing. And you were not born to disappear. You were born to take up space, to speak in your true voice, to walk in your own rhythm, to let your presence be felt. Living this way will not only transform you, it will change the atmosphere around you. Others will see you standing in your truth and realize they can do the same. You will become a living example that it is possible to exist fully without apology. And in that way, your light becomes more than your own. It becomes a spark for others to ignite theirs. But it must begin with you. You must choose every day not to shrink. You must choose to stand tall even when it feels safer to fold in on yourself. You must choose the discomfort of being fully seen over the false comfort of being partially invisible, because only then will your aura reach its full strength. Only then will it radiate with the power to inspire, to protect, and to challenge all at once. And in that choice, you will know the deepest truth, that your light was never meant to be dimmed.